In order to make my front cover conventional, I placed the masthead to the top of the page in the biggest, boldest and unique font when in comparison to the other cover lines. The masthead is an important feature and I had to make sure it looked intriguing when the main image was placed. I chose to put my masthead in a white font so that it stood out from the black and red background. The colour scheme that was used was black, white and red. This is the colour scheme that I followed so that I would not have too many different colours, as it would have not been conventional by having more than 3 colours. I wanted the colours to fit together and that would be quite dark, as it needed to signify the indie rock genre. The cover lines were placed in line of each side they belonged to so that the cover page looked professional and organised. When just adding the cover lines in red, it looked quite dull and the cover page started to look quite boring. I decided to add a stroke around it in white so that the cover lines stood out more than the article information that were underneath them. The language is quite formal and the choice of font was just simple but bold so that it would stand out more with the main image. I put the cover line in a bigger font than its article information, as I wanted them to stand out more on the page. I reference some established bands and artists on the front cover as it attracts the readers. I used bands and artists that were in an indie rock genre. The positioning statement is located to the left-hand side under the masthead in a small white font that allows the audience to know what the music magazine contains. This makes the magazine conventional. The overall house style is black, red and white. These are the 3 colours that contrast well together. Normally there would be a skyline above the masthead. However, mine does not have one. The masthead is stretched so it fills most of the top of the page in order to look interesting for the audience. The banner is what goes across the middle of the page, or is positioned to the side but goes across the main image. The main cover line for my media product is relating to the main image of my indie rock artist Delta. The font is bold and in all capitals but smaller than the masthead. This is so the banner stands out from the main image and makes it conventional. Another part to the banner is the article information. I just go where my guitar takes me. This is in a smaller size as I didn't want to take the boldness of Delta away. I have used a strap at the bottom of the page near the issue information and the barcode. The strap is in red that matches the cover lines and follows the overall house style. The strap contains some of the regular content. For my main image I have used direct address so that he looks straight out to the readers to grab their attention. The mise en scène of the image was chosen to fit in with the genre of my music, which is indie rock. He has been presented holding his guitar, looking like he is playing it whilst engaging the audience. His body language is relaxed but he looks focused on his music. The clothing he is wearing are black jeans, black top and a blue denim jacket, which has connotations of indie rock artists. The barcode and issue information are all placed together in the bottom right hand corner of the page so that they are out of the way, which makes the page look organised and it is conventional. On my front cover page I have not used a puff as I thought it would make the page look untidy. However, the puff is usually in a shape that contains an incentive that attracts the reader by using words such as free or win. On the contents page, the photographs were in a column of their own and they were related to an article, which is conventional. My images had to be interesting in order to engage the audience when they read, as too much text would make the page look boring and unconventional. I chose different photographs such as gig tickets, a band, a solo artist and a gig concert. By using columns, the contents page becomes organised and conventional. In order for the page to be conventional, there had to be 3 or 4 columns. For my contents page, I chose to use 3 as it would give enough space for the articles and the information along with 4 images. On the columns for the regular and feature content, I used a bold font to organise the page more and enhance that they are important headings. The colour on my contents page still followed the colour scheme. The title Contents was put in a dark red and in the biggest font at the top of the page. This has been done in order to make my magazine page conventional. For the page numbers, they were placed next to the regular and feature content article headlines in a red so they stand out to the audience so they can easily navigate around the magazine. The headlines of the articles were in a bold black font of size 8. I kept the headlines of the articles in capitals in order to look bold when in comparison to the article information. I have used these conventions so that the contents page would be more conventional. The masthead is repeated again in the top right hand side of the page in a smaller black font. The masthead had to be put in black with the cracks of white in order for it to stand out from the white background. The section headings were regular and feature. These I use so that the sections are clearly organised into columns that they relate to. In order for the section headings to stand out, I changed the font colour to white and put a red rectangle behind them so they divide the sections. The captions on the image were originally in a black font with a red box behind them so that they stood out from the image. However, I changed them to just a white font so that the colour scheme was followed and the captions looked more professional and organised on the image with their specific page number next to them. The issue information is repeated twice on the contents page. First at the bottom of the page with the page number and the repeated masthead in a small font, then a second time at the top of the page to the right in a red box and in a white font. This is to allow the audience to instantly see the issue number. These conventions have been used for my contents page so that my magazine would be conventional and be able to attract the target audience. For my double page spread I only use one image which takes up one of the 2 pages. This is a conventional layout for a double page spread. The original picture was in colour but I felt as though the image would look more striking if it was in black and white, so then I could put the text in a brighter colour so it would stand out. There is no direct address on the image as it shows the boys in full focus of playing their guitars. The mise-en-scène of the image shows the boys in casual jeans and a top with a motionless facial expression to suggest their concentration on the music. I put the band's interview in the guides of the 3 columns so that the page would be conventional and organised. The heading on the double page spread was made to be big enough so that there was not many gaps on the page so it looked visually striking with its red colour. In order for the heading to be conventional it had to be the biggest on the page, placed at the top of the double page spread. For the double page spread I followed my chosen colour scheme. Due to the image being in black and white I had to make sure the heading stood out along with the band's interview. I thought by using a red coloured font for the heading, which contains the band's name and how they were brought to life, in order for it to be bold and stand out to the audience. When adding the band's interview I chose white so it stood out against the background. That text was in a 9, which follows convention. The style of language was quite formal as it was the band's words and they portrayed a formal professional insight. The stand first was a part of the article, so I put the opening about the boys' names and their age in a bold font so that it could be distinguished as important information. The drop cap was placed on the stand first, as it was part of the article. At first the drop cap was in a white, but then when looking at it from a distance I wasn't happy that I only had one big red headline above all the white article. I then changed the colour to red that matched the headline. The byline was first under the headline, but just before the article. When I looked at it from a distance, it looked out of place and unorganised. I moved the byline to under the article where it finished. Originally I had 3 pull quotes that weren't interesting and intriguing for the audience. The placing wasn't very good either. I decided to only put 1 pull quote in, as only using 1 pull quote makes the page more conventional. I changed the pull quote to the same red as the headline and the drop cap. I placed it in the middle of the column partway down under where the background guitar was so that it could be easily seen. Overall I have been applying the conventions to all my magazine pages in order to make my magazine be conventional and visually interesting so that it attracts my target audience.